If you're looking for amazing book recommendation, this is the right place to be. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Uchenna and I'm a Nigerian-based digital content creator. And on this channel, I talk about everything books. If you're an OG, welcome back. I know it's been a while I've been here, but here we are. And in this video, I will be talking about my January wrap-up. That is the books I read in January. Last year, I read a total of 180 books and I had an amazing reading year. I love this month a lot because I've read some amazing books that I loved and I enjoyed. So in order not to waste much of your time, let's get into it. So the first book I read is Half His Age by Janet McCurdy. That's the author of I'm Glad My Mom Died. My 2 cents on this book is it felt like I'm being told part of the author's story. You know that feeling where you feel like, oh, you know it's fiction, but you feel like this is part of somebody's life, like the author's life. That was how I felt about this book. If you have read My Dark Vanessa, you would relate to this book. It has similar type of vibe. And personally, the only reason I like this book is I love books where characters don't have their life figured out. They are trying, they are doing stuff, they are failing. I like this type of books. That's one of the reasons that I rated this 3/5 stars. It wasn't a memorable read, and if you have read My Dark Vanessa, again, like I said, you won't miss out much on this one. The next book I have on my list is The Girl in the Picture by Amaka Eze. This is a YA fiction and it's about a 17 years old girl who lives in Enugu and had to move from Enugu to England, and we get to see how life happens to her, how life happens to her family and everything in between. For me, when I finished this book, it's one of those books that I personally felt I would recommend to any YA, especially those teenagers and young adults around me. And the reason is the book passes a message that I always would try to tell them, but it seems maybe like I don't have the experience or I can't relate to them because I'm not female. So it's one of those books that I would recommend to them for them to see with their own eyes that even though this is fiction, this could be the reality, because fiction most times is not far from reality. One major thing for me in this book was seeing how power dynamics within an immigrant household affects an entire family. It shows how shifts in economic and social authority destabilize traditional gender roles, especially when the mother tries to renegotiate power in ways that are shared and sustainable, and the outcome of that effort. The Girl in the Picture shows how migration exposes cracks that has already existed in the main character's family. I personally think it demonstrates how refusing to change can slowly poison intimacy. Another takeaway for me was that good parenting is less about control and more about the capacity to hold emotions, share power, adapt to changing roles, seek personal help when needed, and repair harm. I wish for more parents to be aware of this. I rated this book a 3 star. I really did enjoyed reading it. The third book I read is I Would Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hapman. This is a dystopian literary fiction. Have you ever read a book where you loved it, but you honestly cannot explain everything you felt about that book? I rated this book 4/5 star. Reflecting on this book, here's my thoughts. I'm here to let you know that this book is as intriguing as its title, and if this is your first time coming across it, I highly recommend checking this translated fiction. I don't think I've read anything quite like this before. It was unsettling and fascinating at the same time. It's one of those books that make you think deeply about human psychology and the human experience. Just remind you that being curious about life in general would get you to places, would open doors for you. This is one of those books that depicts that picture for me. In summary, I would say it's a story that sparks an intellectual awakening and refuses to let you look away. It's a book I highly recommend you read. The next book I read is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is a romance contemporary fiction. Justin has a course, and thanks to a Reddit thread, it's now all over the internet. Every woman he dates goes on to find their soulmate the second they break up. When a woman slides into his DM with the same problem, they come up with a plan. They will date each other and break up. their curses will cancel each other's out, and they will both go on to find the love of their lives. This book, I really did loved and enjoyed reading this book, and yeah, it's my reflective thoughts on it. I really enjoyed reading this book because I loved how the romance explored themes I naturally gravitate towards. We get to see family dynamics, self discovery, trauma, and so much more. But one thing that really struck me while reading this book, when someone appears strong and emotionally regulated, others unconsciously withdraw care, not out of cruelty, but out of the assumption that you are fine or that you can handle it like you always do. And this is something that I personally could relate with, especially when you're the person that's always showing up and showing out and being there for others, and you appear to have your emotions and things are working out for you. People tend to neglect a lot that, oh, you too have your own personal struggles just because you are not showing that on the outside. Reflecting on Emma's life, being self sufficient often teaches people to overlook your need for empathy. I also wish she had developed more self awareness and been more truthful earlier on. I think it would have helped her a lot. This was as a result of something that happened to the main character. This is, I don't want to give spoilers. I felt that if she had been more self-aware earlier on and she was truthful to herself, some of the things that happened to her might happen, but they wouldn't have happened the way they happened because she'll be more self-aware, she's more truthful, and she'll be able to navigate that a little bit more better than she did in the book. In general, I read the book 4.25 stars over 5. It's an absolutely amazing romance book that I do recommend that you should read. After reading this book, I had to read the remaining two books, which I'll be mentioning in this video as we move forward. The next book I read is Part of Your Word, and this is the book one of the Part of Your Word series by Abby Jimenez. I just hope I'm pronouncing her name well. And this is a contemporary romance book. This is the book one of the book I previously talked about. So this book is basically about two characters who found love unexpectedly. One thing I love about this author's book is that, especially the romance writing, is that you get to explore other things in the book and not just the romance. I enjoyed the writing style, I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the plot. It's such an amazing romance book, and I rated it 4.5 over 5 stars. I highly recommend you read this book. The next book I read is Find the Girl by Lucy Connell. It's a contemporary YA book. It's basically about two sisters. They have two different personalities. They happen to meet a guy, and one of them has a crush on the guy, and the story progresses from there, and we get to see how everything turns out in the story. It's a enjoyable YA read. I rated this 3 over 5 stars. It's a good book, but it wasn't just memorable for me. The next book I read is None of This Is Serious by Katrin Praksivska. This is a contemporary literary fiction book, and it follows the life of the main character who was navigating a lot in her life. None of this is serious. It's about the uncertainty and absurdity of being alive today. It's about balancing the real world and the online, and the vulnerabilities in yourself, your relationship, your body. At its heart, this is a novel about the friendship strong enough to withstand anything. I think one of the reasons I like this book was I could relate to the character in some ways. The character was, life was just lifing, and she was going through a lot, and we follow through as she explores and navigates everything that she's going through in life, trying to see if she could figure out the ones that she's failing at, the ones that she's trying at. And that's the beauty of this book for me. Reading books like this, it just reminds me that the world, it's not the way it is on social media, and I shouldn't be like hard on myself. I rated this book 3.25 stars. It was an okay read, nothing much, nothing too spectacular. Next book I read is Coffee Girl Summer by Daniela Allen. This is a contemporary romance book. I know it seems like in general I read more of romance, and that's because I was looking for like escape out of the real world. So romance was doing it for me in January, and so that was why I just kept on binge reading romance book. I really loved everything in this book except one thing. I really disliked the men in this book. So we have a cover girl, plus size. Due to some circumstances, she was like looking out for a man. The men she happened to go on dates with were just absolutely ridiculous. They made me angry, to be very honest. I was just like, what the hell? Until she met one other guy. At first, there's a little bit of miscommunication, and I was just glad at the end they ended up together. I bet you this was a very steamy read for me. I rated the book 3.75 stars over 5 for me, and that's because this would have been a 4 stars, but the men in the book were just not cutting it for me. They annoyed me a lot. So aside that, it's a good book. The next book I read is Yours Truly by Abby, and this is the book 2 of the Parts of Your World series. This book, it's such an amazing book. It's a romance read. So at first it was giving strangers to enemies, and then we proceed to like giving like second chance, and then there's the friendship, and then there's like the love. It's such an amazing romance book. I don't really want to say much because I don't want to give spoilers away, but I really love how this author, how she writes, how Abby writes. I love it a lot. It's such a cute, amazing book. I rated it 4.5 stars over 5. Absolutely, highly recommend. The next book I read is Lie With Me by Philippe Bresson, narrated by Molly Ringwald. This is a literally queer fiction, and it's a story about a man as he narrates his coming of age story and his experience with a boy. So like I said, it's a queer book, and his experience with a boy, and it's such an amazing, interesting, heartbreaking book. It's less than 150 pages, but it's, you know, those books that are small and they pack a lot of punch. That's how this book felt for me. And I recommended this book to a friend, and the friend was like, "Oh my god, he hopes he doesn't cry." And it's one of those books that it ended, and then I was wishing for stuff. I wished the way it ended. I wish it wasn't that way. And it's just one of those books that tells you that queer people don't grow up themselves. One of those books that shows you not living your truths can take a lot from you and how it affects your life. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this book so much. I rated it 5 over 5 stars. It's just so memorable. The next book I read is Sweetness in the Skin by Ashley Robinson. This is a contemporary fiction, and it's a Caribbean literature. From the description, a winning debut novel about a Jamaican girl determined to break her way out of her dysfunctional family and into the opportunity of a lifetime. This book stressed me. This book stressed me in a way because at the point when I was reading this book, I was going through it, and personally, my personal life, and then seeing this character trying her best and trying to win and trying to overcome, but some external factors and people decision around her were affecting her own life, and in a not so good way. And it was so much stressful for me. I am saying this, and I feel so stressed all over again in terms of what the character had to go through and how she navigated everything. It's a book that does remind you for you to try your best and for you to know what you are capable of. This is one of those books, and I rated it 4 over 5 stars, and I do highly recommend you read it. The next book I read is Next Level Love by Shams Patel. This is a contemporary romance fiction. I like this book and I didn't like this book. I like this book not because of the romance aspect of it, because of the opportunity the female main character had in this book. You know how it is you trying and people trying to use your background to determine who you are. I just love that she had the opportunity to try, and that's because I was laid off from a job, and it's one of the moments where I was like hard on myself, and at the same time I felt like, okay, there's no like opportunity for me to like grow with this company. Seeing a character where that was kind of different for her, I liked it for that. But the romance part, I'm not a huge fan. I rated it 3 star. You are not missing out on anything if you don't read this book. The next book I read is Nervous Conditions. This is an African classic, and this book basically mirrors the lives of African women, what they go through, how it affects them. It's such an interesting book. I really had a good time reading this book. This book highlights how misogyny, how patriarchy has been in existence for a very long time, and how this affects the lives of these women and how these women navigate that. Without saying much or giving much away, I rated this book 5/5 star. I started with like the ebook, and then I got the physical book, and then I did like the audiobook. The audiobook narration also, it's very good. So whatever medium, whatever format, just get this book. I promise you, you're going to love it, if especially if you love African fictions and if you're interested in reading African fiction. The next book I read is this thing called Love. This is a collection of stories about love and how people show love in different ways, and how love comes in different ways, in different formats, in like romantic relationship, in family, in friendship. That's basically what this book is about. Now, for me, my personal experience, I honestly wasn't seeing the love that people were seeing in this book. Not like I hate the book, but I saw people review and people are like, oh my god, if I fall in love again, it's because of this book. It's making me to yearn for love. And I'm like, why am I not seeing the yearning you guys are yearning in this? Why am I didn't see any of that yearning. The book was just there. And again, I think one of my issues was that it's such an instant love moment, it's certain Abuja, it's such an instant love moment. And for someone like basically in the city currently, if I am these ladies and I'm in their shoes, and you just all of a sudden just come up to me, I will be wary of you. I will be skeptical about you. But oh, the first day I saw you, you were just falling. That was when I fell in love with you. Somebody that was falling on a muddy ground, and you, it just wasn't making sense for me. So it wasn't like a book that I hated, but I just really didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. That's just all I have to say about this book. I rated it 3/5 stars. The next book I read is Audition. I liked this one, but it wasn't memorable. It's one of the books that's like reflective, that will make you kind of a little bit think. But at the same time, I just felt like somebody who hasn't read this book is not missing out much from it. To be very honest, that's how I felt about this book. And it's one of those books that I ended up rating 3/5 stars. The final book I read is The Defining Decades: Why Your 20s Matters and How to Make the Most of Them Now by Meg Ja. This is a non-fiction book that takes you through the lives of different people in their 20s and their problems and their fears and how they navigated and how they overcome some of their problems and how they later won at the end. And it's about those books where your 20s, yeah, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of social media makes it look like you're the one failing, you're the one not trying your best, you're the one not making an effort. But there's so much in life, and it's one of the books that reminds you to, for you to give yourself grace, for you to push forward with, you can never tell, you can never know if you don't make an effort. You can never know. That's basically one of the things that I took from this book. This is one of the books that reminds you to just make a move, and irrespective of what the outcome will be, you never can tell what will be on the other side, and not just your 20s, even in your 30s. So I rated it 4/5 stars, and I highly recommend you check it out, especially if you're in your 20s. So guys, we have come to the end of this video, and thank you so much for watching. Please, if you are yet to subscribe, please just click the subscribe button. Hope I'm able to show up more. Of course, your encouragement would also contribute towards that, please. So do like, do subscribe, do share. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.